You're listening to Olivia's Book Club, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Olivia's Book Club, and I am your host, Olivia Fierro, and today it is seriously book club business, like a business involving book clubs and a subscription service, and one of those things that you go, why didn't I think of that? So I'm very excited to talk to our guest in studio, who is from the Valley here, so joining us in the Phoenix podcast studio, Michelle Wolett. Once Upon a Book Club subscription service, and also Chicklet Designs. You are a genius. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is so wild to me, this concept. So let's start at the beginning because obviously this has got to have been like a labor of love. Let's start first with Michelle as an avid reader, I guess, right?
Yeah. So growing up, I was always an avid reader. Like I would always be reading everything that you can think of, Sweet Valley High, Babysitter's Club, all that. So there was a point in my life where I kind of stopped reading. I think like right around like high school through college.
When people were trying to make you read?
Right.
It takes the fun out of it.
I know. Well, I don't even know. Or you were just too worried about being cool or whatever. Mm-hmm. But after I graduated college, I started reading again, and I found this book, what is it called? It was the Nightingale?
Oh, Kristin Hannah, the Nightingale? Yes.
And so I read it.
Life changer.
Right. And I was like bawling at the end. And I knew my mom wouldn't want to read something like that, but I'm like, she needs to read this. So I actually came up with this idea to force her to read it by making little gifts that were described in the book. So like when, for example, I found like a little jar and I put a list of all the children's name in it or whatever. And then I put a little cork in it and then I wrapped that up and put a page number and then I put a sticky note saying, open your gift here or whatever. And so I made like a whole collection of gifts and then I sent it to her and then it like forced her to actually read it. And then she was crying, you know, she loved it so much. But I was like, at the time I had a friend who had opened up a subscription box company and she was telling me how that like monthly income and everything was so good to, you know, where she was able to quit her job. And so I was like, I want to do that. And so I kind of created this and, you know, it's been taking off ever since. So.
Wow. Okay. So let me backtrack here because first of all, it's the most perfect example. I mean, number one, The Nightingale is the most emotional book.
I know.
And it's just, I mean, did you end with tissues, like just a legit box of Kleenex?
Yeah.
because if you have any heart beating, then you're sobbing at the end. I even shared that book with my husband, and that's not the type of book he would read.
Right.
And on the last day when I knew he was going to be finishing it on a Sunday morning, I brought in a box of tissues and a mimosa, and I said, leave Dad alone, he's going to be crying. And then he came out to the kitchen, and he started talking about it. He's like, wait a second, and just sobbing. Aww. Because you can't help it.
Right, yeah. She just has this way with words. And it's just like, oh my gosh.
So to introduce somebody to that type of book is extremely satisfying. And any type of book. This is why I enjoy hosting a book club too, because even if they don't like it, the idea that you're sharing something, there's some community, you immediately have something in common if two people have read the same book.
Right. It brings that, it's a bonding moment with whoever is reading that, because just like your favorite show or whatever, like it's just something about that where you're just excited about a moment in the book or anything and you really want to share it with everybody. So that's another element that we added to our boxes. We kind of have a community on Facebook where they have a chat group or whatever, and then they all just like talk to each other about page 84 or the gift that they got or whatever. And so it's really fun to watch them, you know, grow together.
So give me a timeline. This was how many years ago that you kind of just did a DIY special for mom only version? And then you said, okay, let me connect the dots and see if I can do this for other people.
Okay, so I am quick. When I have things like, when I have ideas, I have to do it. I don't know if you've read Big Magic by...
what's her name? Eat, Pray, Love.
Yes.
Yes.
And so
I just ordered it. You know what's sad? Maybe my life would be different. I ordered it and it hasn't come. It's like the only book that didn't come quickly to me. And somebody just said, you really need to read Big Magic. And I was like, yeah, no wonder nothing great is happening in my life. So I'm still waiting for it to be delivered.
Yeah, well, like the whole idea of creativity, and like if you just wait too long, then it'll just kind of go away, and then somebody else will take it.
Yeah.
And so if I don't do something right away, then it'll just go away, or I'll never do it, or I'll maybe come back to it in like a year or something. But so when I had that idea, I literally started making a business plan, and I started ordering gifts or whatever. I already had a email base for Chicklet designs. So I just started, sending out hints like this is coming soon or whatever, and getting the hyping it up a little bit. And then when I sent out my first email saying that it launched, and I had like a launch party and everything, and it was like 2 months after I sent it to my mom.
Get out. So this is how many years ago?
I think it's 6 years now.
Wow. Okay, so you already had the foundational structure because you at least had a website and had been doing some merchandising, and you weren't like completely clueless about how you get people to pay you for a product. But this is an elevated thing. So I just finally got the 2 boxes for the first time. And I mean, they are, and I'm going to be adding some pictures to this, and we're going to be showing on social media the way these boxes look so that you can get, it was beyond my expectations. Let me just say that. So describe for those who are going to be listening, who are usually tuning in to hear an author interview, what do they get when they sign up for Once Upon a Book Club, and how does it come to life?
Okay, so every month we send a book that's newly published book within like 1 or 2 months of release date, and we have a women's book club, and then we have a young adult book club, and we're eventually hoping to open middle grade. But right now, what they get is the book to read, along with 3 to 5 gifts that are individually packaged, and they have little page numbers on them. And inside the book, you'll find little sticky notes that say, open your gift on those select pages. And you are not supposed to open those gifts until you reach that page, because the gift is of an object or an item that is actually described in that book. So what we do is we try to heighten your senses. So while you're reading, you'll find like a character pulling out an old mysterious letter that they found in like an old box. So then we'll recreate that box, and we'll recreate that letter and the little photograph or whatever that's in it, and everybody feels like what it feels like to actually be in that book. And then like horror books or whatever will have spooky noises going on or something, like they'll be describing this noises in the book, and then we'll just like put little sticky notes inside with like QR codes so you can listen to those same. So we kind of like try to find all the different senses and kind of make it feel like you're actually living inside that book. And we try to create the gifts around stuff that people will most likely use again.
Yeah.
But it also gives that those gifts, like any object, if you have an object like a necklace or something that your mom gave you that passed down from your grandmother or whatever, it gives you that like feeling of memories and of substance to it. So this kind of also pairs it with like favorite books and everything. So when you look at those objects later on, or you have a bookmark or something that was included in one of the boxes, then that feeling of like that special moment in that special thing of the book that you were reading, it kind of like adds the extra element to the gifts as well.
It's a sentimental attachment.
Right, yeah.
And it is incredible because it's experiential, and so I think it's I have had in just my course of trying to promote reading and build a book club and all of that, it can be hard to talk about books or communicate it with people because there's, you're not showing, you're sitting and talking. So to just the creativity involved in you coming up with this concept and then executing it at such a high level is just so amazing to me. And you can't skip over the fact that what the box looks like. The box looks like a book.
Yep, it's a giant pink book, and it actually was supposed to be purple, but it came to me pink, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? But it actually turned out better because it's more brighter and happier, and so I kind of love it.
So each of them, there's 2 different colors. Inside, there's transcription, there's writing also. Does that change, or is that...
No, that's just pretty much the design. We may be changing it later, but that was like the initial. I kind of wanted it to look like, book pages and stuff inside, but or like handwritten letters or something. So we kind of just put like script in there. I'm not even 100% sure what it's from, but...
So there's a variety of gifts that you're sourcing. And I mean, there's a lot of elements to this business to be able to pull this off on a monthly basis. So I want to know, I mean, you said you did the big magic or whatever, you make things happen quick. How much has it grown? Like, let's get to the nitty gritty of how hard is it to pull this off? How many people do you have working for you? And like, how many people have gotten these?
Okay, so when that first month, it was hard to guess how many people would subscribe. And I sold out within 1 day, and we had 220 subscribers. Wow. And I was doing it from my living room with my daughter, like sitting there helping me pack. And then the mailman came, and he was like, what is happening? But when we grew to about 1,000 monthly subscribers, it was taking up my entire garage. It was taking up my entire house. And I was just, I decided to go in with my friend who's at the Bookish Box. And she and I basically got a warehouse together that we could split. And then, that way we could share the space and share the rent and everything. And we quickly outgrew that when COVID happened. So when COVID happened, I thought for sure we were going to go under, but actually quite the opposite happened, and everybody was stuck at home and they had nothing to do. So then they started ordering, and we were just like, oh my gosh. And so we grew up to about 8,000 monthly subscribers. And we had to find a new warehouse, and there was a lot of growing pains, and then we had shipping issues last year because of the ports and everything. And every month is, something different, but I love it, and I love, what I do. Right now we're up to like 10 employees that we have full time.
Wow, that is incredible.
Thank you.
And so it should be said, you can either subscribe or you can just do this one time as like a gift for yourself or for somebody, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we also have past boxes that if we didn't completely sell out of, then we have them in our shop. So for those that just want to try it out or hand it out as a gift or whatever, they have the option of choosing that. But right now it looks like we're right about to sell out for this month. So then if they are not subscribed, then they'd miss out on this box or whatever. So.
And when you say shop, you mean online only, right?
Right. Online, on our website, which is onceuponabookclub.com. And there's a shop option or a subscribe option, and you can just go shopping for items and there's also an archive, so you can kind of, if you're not sure if this is what I want to do or whatever, then you can kind of look and see what books we've done in the past and what gifts were included in. But it's really hard to explain. The actual magical experience of it is really what the selling point is for that.
Completely. Because I have been wanting to do a story with you and talk to you about this for quite some time. And then I finally got these boxes and I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's so much more exciting. Just the size of it and the packaging and all of the to-do involved in it is incredible. So it is a phenomenal thing to share with somebody. And I mean, I can only imagine. I wish I would have gotten one during the pandemic because, it's just that kind of excitement that doesn't often come to the door.
Right. And what really makes me happy is when we get reviews of people that were like me, where they just kind of stopped reading and this got them into reading, because there's so many people that you talk to that are like, oh, I don't read or whatever. And it's like, well, but that's probably because you haven't, found the right book, because nobody says I don't watch TV or don't watch movies or whatever, because they just don't find the right thing that connects with them.
Yeah.
But once you do, then you'll be a reader for life. So the fact that I'm getting so many people to read again is really like something that's special to me. And that's why I really want to open one up for people that are more like my daughter's age, like 8, 9 years old. So because she doesn't want to read, so now I'm trying to create boxes for her.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, add the boys to the list, please, because
Yes.
my 10-year-old is such a pain about not wanting to read. He just says, Mom, I don't plan to be a librarian. And I'm like, what does that even have to do with anything? Stop it. Okay, so you got to source all this stuff. I want to know how the business aspect works regarding the books. How do you select these books? Are they now at this point pursuing you to go in these boxes? Are you picking books that you love, or I imagine your NetGalley early reading everything.
Yes.
And how many books do you have to read in a month or so to figure out what direction you're going?
Thankfully, I now have a team, but when
she's
I
got a
was doing it
reading
by myself,
team.
oh my gosh, it was like, because I would get maybe 50% and I'd be like, there's no gifts, and then I would read only half a book or something, and I would want to know what happened. So I have like all these books that I have to go back to, but a lot of times authors will do the same gift, or they'll do, so there's such a process to make sure that not only it will appeal to everybody, but also that it's not super controversial, or that there are actual gifts that people would want, and that are at heightened moments and stuff like that. So it usually took me about 10 to 20 books each month to like weave through. And now I have a team that actually goes through, and we have like reading reports and everything. And they go through and like read all the options for that month, and then send me a report with the gift options. And then I kind of choose from there.
Wow. So basically, I mean, I love when somebody is able to find something that they love to do and then make a life out of it. So you have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things to oversee. However, is it still so much fun?
Yeah, it's fun. And now that I've learned how to delegate, instead of like feeling like I have to do everything, now I'm finding people that I actually trust, that they're going to be good at it and they love to do it. And so it makes my life easier. It makes everybody's life easier. And we're actually planned, far ahead, where it used to be just like, oh my gosh, what's the next one? So it's grown a lot, and I love it a lot. And I love seeing the posts of all of our happy customers and anybody that loves a certain gift or whatever. I just love reading that every month. So
it is a lot of pressure to select that book, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then it has to be not only of good quality that's not going to turn somebody off on reading forever, but also have the companion things that would make sense. What are some recent ones that you've been particularly pleased with, where you're like, oh, dang, we did good?
I think actually the two that I just gave you right now, I think they were really good, like as far as like the story and like the moments that we have you open it. And like one point, I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to be giving out spoilers, but there's
Do
like
it. Well, is that this? What month is this?
No, these were a few months ago.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay, go for it.
So the roughest draft,
yes,
that one
perfect.
that I gave you. It's basically these two authors that were co-authors, but they weren't intimate or anything like that. They were just co-authors. And then there was they had a falling out, and she just hasn't spoken to him in like 5 years or something, and he went off to write his own books, and then she just kind of just didn't do anymore. She kind of like retired or took a hiatus or whatever, and she's at a bookstore, and this lady's trying to push this book. The bookstore lady's trying to push this book on her, and it's by him. And she's like, no, I don't
I hate him.
Without knowing that she's the other author, and she didn't want to, do anything. So she just buys this book, and she's leaving this bookstore. This is the last book she wants. And what we did is right at that moment, we have like a little bag, like a tote bag that she would come out of a bookstore with, that was like, we made it canvas, and then so it's like obstinate, headstrong girl or whatever. It's something cute that with a cute font or whatever, and then inside is the book. But, obviously this is a fictional book. So then what we did was we recreated the cover. Like we put a dust jacket of his book, I think it's like Retraction or Refraction or something, and then his name and everything, and we put that over another book that they would actually want to read that's, something similar to it. So
wow. Oh, it's just incredible. It's so creative.
thank you.
Oh my gosh. So you said that this started with the chiclet designs, which is, and I'm looking at your very amazing phone case right now that makes your phone into a book. Mm-hmm. Is that still going, or did you have to leave that behind?
Yep, we still have that going. It's actually on an Etsy store. So what I do is I design them to look like public domain type books. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have authors ordering them for their PR press things. And then what I do is I design them and then I just print them on these little wallets, and then you can prop them up to watch videos, and you can carry your credit cards or business cards or whatever. But before that, I actually used to make book purses. And so what happened was my parents, so my parents are from Slovakia in the Czech Republic, and I'm first generation American. And they came out here living the American dream. My dad, instead of like buying things, like he goes out and he's creative like that, where and resourceful, where he'll learn how to do it himself instead of spending a whole bunch of money. So he actually built his house that I grew up with with his own hands.
You're kidding me.
And it took him like a few years, but we lived in there, we grew up in it. And then the housing market crash came and it was paid off and everything, but he co-signed my uncle's loan for a business, and the government was like, coming after them to like pay the bills or whatever. So I created chiclet designs as like a way to send my parents money every month, so that maybe they could save it, kind of thing. And so I was making book purses. I taught myself how to sew on YouTube or whatever. I got a sewing machine, and I came up with that. And then they basically they were like, stop sending checks, and I don't even know if he cashed any of them. He's just so stubborn. But he was like, basically, I was like, well, I don't want to stop doing this. I like doing this. And then so a friend came up to me and he was like, hey, I have a new iPhone. Can you make me a phone case for it? And I was like, no, they don't make books that are the size of an iPhone. I can't do that. And then I was thinking about it and I was like, actually, we can just print things on like the blank little phone cases. It was like that flip phone cases or whatever. So I started making those, and then I just stopped making the book purses and started doing that. But I've been featured on like Vogue and all these other places. That was really cool to do.
Wow, that's amazing. Have you had like a pinch me moment where somebody has made a reference to the book box, or is there an author that you are obsessed with who you got to feature, or kind of any moments that stand out to you? They're like, wow, this thing is kind of catching on.
Yeah, well, so Martha Hall Kelly from the Lilac Girls, she was my first book. And she was so excited about the whole thing, and I was excited that she was excited, and it was just really fun to work. So when these authors that you read these books and you're so invested and you love them, and then they're so excited about it, it's just like you fangirling kind of moment, you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's talking to me or whatever. But that, and then also we were featured, I think like a year ago or whatever, in Oprah magazine. So that was super cool. It's like one of the best book boxes or whatever. So Oprah's best book box.
Oh my gosh, it doesn't get bigger than that.
Yeah.
Is there an author you love that it just hasn't been able to? Well, so let me just ask you this: can you basically choose any book you want because you're buying them and then doing this, or do you have to have permission?
As long as we're going through the publisher, usually it's fine.
Okay.
So, there has been an issue with one particular author who was a big author, and they had their own box, I guess.
Oh, now we hate them.
So,
How dare they try to get in the way of your dreams?
We had planned everything already, and the publisher already said okay and all that stuff. And then they were like, "No, we can't do it." And I was like, "Oh, but we have to. I already ordered everything."
Eek.
So they reluctantly let us do it, but
you're like, otherwise I'm gonna have to really fast write my own book that has very similar plot points, and then that also could be sticky, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so. That'd be a problem.
So what are you gonna do if Reese Witherspoon or Oprah Winfrey or something calls and they're like, Michelle, hey, we want to buy this business now?
Oh, I don't know. I'd be utterly shocked. Like, I don't know. I would have to think about that. But I would definitely think about it.
Yeah, you got to tell me that money first, and then I'll give everything some thought. You obviously have an entrepreneurial spirit on top of being creative. What did you set out to do professionally?
Actually, so I didn't really know what I wanted to be. I was very lost in like high school, and so when it was time to choose college, some recruiter came in and was telling me that if I went to that school, then they can send me abroad to Slovakia for a while. And I was like, oh, cool, I'll go there, and I'll just go for hotel management. And so I went for international hotel tourism management. I graduated, and then I came back, and I was like, I actually started working in the hotel industry, and I was like, this is not fun. I mean, you have to love it, like everybody that works there has to love it, or because it's a lot of hours,
Yeah.
And for me, it was more of like, hey, I want to have a family, and I actually want to spend time with my family, and it was, so I just I moved over to like right across the street. It was a study abroad company. So I did study abroad like 3 times. So I did go abroad, and I love to travel and everything. So basically I worked at a study abroad company helping college students go abroad. But it wasn't really until I had my daughter when I was kind of looking for something to like work from home and like a side hustle. So there were many hours, especially during Christmas, where I was sitting there sewing book purses, trying to get them out, all the orders before I had to go to work the next day and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I've always been creative. I feel like right now, I was actually just diagnosed with ADHD, and I'm learning that a lot of people with ADHD are super creative, and the thing about it is that we hone in on something that really interests us, and so we'll just research it for hours and hours and learn how to do stuff, and we just take chances or whatever, and we're not worried about failing, because if you do fail, then you just fix it. It's just part of the process, kind of thing. So right now, the problem is that I'm very impulsive. So I'll just like impulsively create new businesses and stuff like that. So right now I'm really interested in filmmaking because my daughter's interested in acting or whatever. So I've been like learning about that on the side, but I'll make sure to go to work and also work on this too.
Wow.
So I always have to be doing something.
Cool. Okay, last couple things. Is there a type of book that has been too hard to do, or is there a genre that's like off the table, or some kind of thing that you never want to do, and then is there a rhythm to what to expect? Because obviously it's a surprise. So if you're doing the women's fiction, can we guess if it's been 3 months since there's a thriller? Can we guess that one's coming back in the rotation in the next? Like, what's the clue?
We have hints that we do every month.
Okay.
And it'll give you a description with a photo, but we won't announce the title, but we will like kind of give you an idea as to what it's about. And a lot of people, if they actually looked really hard, they'd figure it out. Otherwise, they can contact us if they're, because there's some people just don't like surprises, I like it because it's like the grab bags of the 90s, you know, you just never know what you're going to get kind of thing, and that excitement that goes with it. But because, you know, so not everybody's like that, we do like giving that element of surprise, but we also like, you know, give the option of emailing us if you want to know what that book is. But we typically, for the adult, we usually try to make sure it's not like every month a romance or every month a thriller. So we try to mix it up. Horrors, we usually only save for like specialty boxes. So like every October, we'll do like a Halloween box or whatever. And so because, you know, there's some, like, I can't even read horror that much because it's just so scary to me. But horror, and then I've noticed that whenever we do sci-fi for adult, for some reason, nobody likes it. Nobody wants to order it.
Really?
Yeah. So we have to do that one as like a one-time thing as well. But the young adult, you know, the young adult is pretty much anything and everything, because young adults, you know, it's more about escaping, you know, where they're in different worlds and everything like that. So.
And adults, I think we're just more rigid, right? Like we've decided maybe that we don't read sci-fi, so we don't want any part of that, right?
Maybe, yeah, we're all set in our ways, or I don't know. I feel like a lot of people want to read about stuff that they can relate to and empathize with, and maybe they're afraid to read the young adults. The young adult, 50% is adult readers.
Yeah.
So it's more, I feel like if adults gave young adult a try, then they would actually really like that genre. Like, I'm 39 years old and I love young adult. So
it's completely relatable because it's a time when you've been there, and most of us like are delusional and still think of ourselves as like young and like full of emotion and promise and possibility, and so it's kind of like, oh yeah, that could be my space.
You're always stuck in your 20s.
Completely. If you're like here, otherwise maybe it's even your late teens if you're worse. Okay. So the website you already said, what's the cost? Is there a cost benefit to subscribing versus doing one time?
Yes, it's $49.99, and that includes shipping every month, and it'll just auto charge you. And then I believe it's $5 more if you just buy it in the shop. But also, you know, it's not guaranteed that you'll get this month's box if you don't subscribe, kind of thing. So a lot of the times we do sell out, and then you'll just miss out on that box, kind of thing.
And now you've got the social media community also who are communicating about your boxes together.
Yes. We have a huge, we have a Facebook chat group where everybody just kind of gets together, and they talk about the book, and they talk about the gifts, and then they'll show pictures of, you know, the box arriving on their big pink book showing up on their doorstep. And so they all are posting book memes, and they are helping each other through things. So it's really fun to watch the community grow.
That is so cool. And last thing, does anybody admit to you that they can't wait? Like, I can't wait till page 160. I've got to open all the stuff at the beginning.
And they do. There's some people that they'll get the box, and then they'll be like, I don't understand why you sent me this. And it's like, well, but did you read it? Because literally it was the most important gift, you know? So, but, you know, also those people help us realize like what works and what doesn't work or whatever. So it's just a growing process. And so I feel like we've grown a lot from day one compared to now.
I love meeting a woman who has just found a space in a place that maybe wasn't obvious,
right? And
is in a conversation that she gets to enjoy and be stimulated by. So I think it's very inspiring to meet you and to see, I mean, how this will grow even more. If you can keep up with any more growth, right? We're
learning. Yeah, we got it. Our supplier also had like growing pains, but we're figuring it out. That my poor supplier. I'll have to be like, I'll be like, please take doll hair and cut it up and put it behind the picture frame or whatever, because whatever they write, we have to do, you know? So he's a sport.
Wow.
He can figure it out.
I've got to think the authors and the publishers are hardcore after you to get your attention, right?
Yeah, sometimes we do get a lot of emails. Especially from indie authors. And so we have been trying to include more indie authors and everything too.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, yeah, who wouldn't want to be in this box? Well, Michelle, thank you so much for talking about this and for sharing it with me. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And I can't wait to see what's next. What's next month, by the way? Just kidding. It's a secret.
It is a secret. It's on the hint page.
Okay, we'll put together our hints. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Olivia's Book Club, the podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Fierro. Our producer is Margaret Stewart. You can send us an email with your thoughts or your book recommendations. Olivia's Book Club at azfamily.com is the address. And you can check out Olivia's Book Club on Facebook or find us on Instagram. Hello, Bookstagrammers, at olivias.bookclub, and Margaret is at overbooked and overdue. Make sure to rate and subscribe to this podcast and tell your friends. You can find us on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Amazon Music.
This is Olivia's Book Club, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.